because it's a bad idea. Speaking of bad ideas, digital licenses. So, Australia, the bastion of good tech security and sensible design. Yeah. We've been rolling out digital licenses in a couple of states for quite a while. Australia, though, we like to pretend like we are America sometimes, and each state does a different thing, but then they're all controlled by the federal government, but like, they still have different implementations for things that don't make any sense. So we like this, do this half American thing. Anyway, New South Wales has got their own digital driver's license thing, and it's not well designed because why would it be? As I've demonstrated in the past about government designed tech, it's usually bottom of the barrel, insecure by design. 5 separate design flaws were discovered in the New South Wales DDL app. This is the Digital Driver's License app. Combining the flaws presented a favorable scenario that could be exploited by any would-be attacker or fraudster. First and foremost, for efforts at cracking the app, it only uses a 4-digit PIN to unlock. When you have a 4-digit PIN, your 4-digit PIN should be on a number of tries, like 3 tries, and then you're locked out. That's the reason things do that with pins, because pins are inherently insecure. And that code is also, wait for it, the decryption key for the license, which is stored in a JSON file. So you guess the PIN, you know the decryption key. Okay? It's also a JSON file, so you can parse this and do whatever you want to it very easily. With a Python script in a laptop, Farmer, the guy who was doing this, was able to brute force it in minutes. The fact that it took you minutes to brute force that is genuine. Okay, minute. Minute is the better way to describe it. Okay, skip ahead to when you're actually doing it. So here's the pin. Types the thing. Wait, is he brute forcing? No, he's not brute forcing it by hand, is he? Okay, I was gonna say. So he's got this Python script here. Oh my god, it doesn't seem to have a limit on how many times you can enter the pin. That's so badly designed. Oh my god. So basically you just you like connect to the device and then you can just start passing in numbers to decrypt it. And because that's yeah, all you need to do is extract the decrypted data, the encrypted data, and then run your encrypt. You don't even need to pass in that. Oh my god, you don't even need to pass it into the app, do you? Because if you extract the encrypted data and then you just try to brute force the encryption key, you just run through all 10,000 options, and there you go. You have the key. Oh my god, that's so bad. Additionally, the app never validates the digital driver's license data with the New South Wales government records. Fails to refresh license data properly, transmits minimal data info in its QR code, which is alterable. QR codes a terrible way to transfer any data, and includes license data in device backups, which means that attackers or anyone wanting to commit fraud can modify their license details without needing to jailbreak the device. So if you decrypt the JSON data, you can then replace the information with whatever you want, and the app just accepts it. It doesn't validate it with the servers. It's just like, okay, there's a JSON file here. That's fine. It might freak out if you add fields, but if you just modify it, it just doesn't care, apparently, which is terrible. So if you wanted to do something, I'm not suggesting you do this. If you wanted to do something like, I don't know, change your date of birth because you want to buy some alcohol at the pub, places where they don't exactly validate the information on there, the New South Wales government literally gives you a tool to fake your license. That's how badly designed this is. Additionally, the app never read that. According to Farmer, all of the security features include New South Wales DDL, like here's the other thing, like an animated New South Wales government logo, refresh rate, QR code, moving hologram, and watermark are retained when making changes to the license data. So all of these things in here are basic. So if you have a picture of your license, obviously a picture is very easily modifiable. They include these features, so like making a fake app that would include all of these things wouldn't be difficult to do. It would be tedious though. And if all you want to do is get a fake license, it's a little bit harder to do that than just, modifying a bit of information. But all of this keeps working. So if you show it to someone, they will see this data and say, okay, it's a real license. It's from the New South Wales government app, and it's fine. The New South Wales Service New South Wales, the government agency that runs the app of the same name, told the Register the flaws that Noah found are not a threat to users or the integrity of the DDL. This is what the Australian government likes to do. Like every state government, the federal government, they like to pretend that problems aren't real and just make you stop talking about them. The issue is known and does not pose a risk to customer information. A spokesperson said, the blogger Noah has manipulated their own DDL information on their local device. Yes, but you know what they can also do? They can go and extract that JSON file from someone else's device through, some sort of malicious code, malware, things like that, brute force the encryption key, and then they have your license. Like, then they can just load it in their app, and look, they have your license now. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean that's not a problem? Importantly, if the tampered license was scanned by police, the real-time check used by New South Wales police would show up the correct personal information. Now, that is true. So, if you got pulled over by a cop, don't show the cop your fake license. That's a bad idea. And that's true in a digital sense and a physical sense. Don't show the cops your fake license. Bad idea. The DDL was independently assessed by cyber specialists and is more secure than the plastic card. Yes, more secure than the plastic card. You literally give me an app where I can fake the data. Okay, sure. Honestly, faking a plastic card, it would be way harder. The spokesperson added, before pointing out that altering the DDL is a... before pointing out that altering the DDL is against the law and that Service New South Wales constantly reviews the security of its offering. Guys, fake licenses are against the law. No shit. What are you... Yeah, no shit, they're against the law. Like... Yes, that's true. You are making a fair point, but you're also trying to use it to do illegal things. I don't think you care if your license is fake. That leaves defacement attack. That leaves the defacement attack a route to create a fake ID that might fool a human in the context of moments such as proving age to getting into a pub or renting a car, but identity fraud appears not to be possible. And that's true. Sure, I'll give you that. As long as we're talking identity fraud where they're not not checking stuff. There is some cases where you might still be able to get away with stuff, but this is the main thing that people are going to be using it for. So you could have a bit of malware that... Here's one thing. You have a bit of malware that decrypts your encryption key, which would take literally less than a minute because there's 10,000 possible things that encryption key could be. They could then just do whatever they wanted to the license. Like, they could just delete all the information and your license no longer works. And this could be something just sits on your phone. New South Wales is in the only place where DDL is being tested, nor the only place where they're accepted. The UK government has been testing DDL since 2016. The Secretary of State for transport grant SHAPs said they may arrive before 2024. Apple Wallet added support for DDLs last year in Georgia and Arizona. Look, if it's done well, it's fine. It's functional, but like it's not done well ever. I've never seen it implemented properly. New South Wales government in denial again. It's not only police who use the license for identification. Just another poor agile implementation rushed out to meet a deadline and get some poly or bureaucrat a big bonus. Yes, the supplier is clearly in damage limitation mode. Whether the New South Wales government does the right thing is probably a function of how politically invested its current masters are in the system. If they were the ones who introduced it, then they will stick with it, but if there's been a change in government since then, they might do something more positive. What does Agile have to do with it? What Agile has to do with it is a lot of companies will use Agile as in, we don't do stuff properly, we just do it quickly. Told the register the flaws are not a threat to user integrity of the DDL. Run, Noah, run. I'll have your ID then. When stopped for a traffic violation or ID check or random heavily armed citizenship test, what are you talking about? Before pointing out the DDLs against the law, altering the DDLs against the law, just like there are no murders, thefts, frauds, assaults, and people don't run red lights or speed because they're against the law. Yeah, did you know that breaking the law is a crime? Breaking the law is a crime. Why did the government give you a way to fake your license? Like, this is just as bad. I've talked about this before. It's just as bad as the COVID QR code situation we had, where there was no validation of the information. You could scan the QR code, then change the data in the query string, and it would save it in their database. I didn't test it, but you know, you could probably send a bit of cross-site scripting. You could send a bit of SQL injection into their site, drop the database, things like that. It's obviously a major crime to do that, but they just set it up so it's entirely possible. I don't know if there's a flaw in the system they had, but as I said, when the Australian government implements some sort of new tech system, it's either really, really, really over-engineered in places that it doesn't need to be, or it's so terrible that someone finds a flaw within like 5 minutes of looking at it. Which was the QR code case when I looked at those, and this case when this guy was messing around with the 10,000 options of a fucking decryption key. That's still so stupid. How there are only 10,000 variants of the decryption key. Like, anybody with a fucking brain can tell you that's not a good idea. Actually, it might be more than 10,000, actually. It's not much more than 10,000, but it might be a bit more. Ignore me, I forget how permutations work. Anyway, it's still not good.